Hello and welcome to your Trash Pals. This is Vannotes. You're getting a full view of my room/studio right now, including the butt of my cat, because unfortunately Ren got hit with an even worse sick than the last sick. So you are stuck with me as your sole your Trash Pals host. Ren should be back in business. Ren just had the froggiest throat, and I feel terrible because I was making Ren laugh as we were trying to get started. But it is 5 a.m. somewhere, so that means the garbage collectors are coming to take out the trash. But we won't throw you out. We always promise that every episode, and it's true. We're not going to throw you out for your terrible trash opinions unless you get canceled, and we'll see if we dogpile on you. Just kidding. Ren's not here, so my filter is absolutely off. Like I said, welcome to your Trash Pals, coming to you live from Elmo's Adventures in Grouchland. So to get started, I would just like to say that I will make no apologies to Coco Frio, beloved Boise drag queen, for saying that she excessively requests the Cupid Shuffle. I will not apologize. I will not take back any of my statements that she needs to reduce and recycle her use of the Cupid Shuffle. And I will continue into trying to goad her into coming onto the podcast, where she will definitely KO me and most assuredly take me out in one-on-one CQC combat. But today's episode is not about Coco Frio. It is all about tiny plastic toys. It is all about those little guys that turn into vehicles and airplanes and all those good things. And it is also my birthday. So January 29 is my birthday, and I'm excited to celebrate by talking with our very special guest. So our guest this week, which thankfully we have a guest, or else I would be sitting here monologuing the entire episode, is the wonderful Madeline McGrane. Madeline McGrane is my BFF and also a cartoonist and illustrator living in Minneapolis. She also hails from the great state of Wisconsin, which is home to the Hodag, the best of all the cryptids in the United States. She is the author and illustrator of the Accursed Vampire graphic novels, featuring that beloved little scamp Dragoslova. I can say that name. She has worked on comics for Marvel, College Humor, and Disney Publishing, among other clients. She's worked for the House of Mouse. And in her spare time, she publishes mini comics. I'm now releasing her from the dungeon of your Trash Pals, or the sewer drain. But it's Madeline! Yay!
Hello. Thank you for having me on your Trash Pals.
I'm so excited that I could goad you, my beloved friend, into coming onto a podcast. So this is all I do is just goading you into various activities.
Yes, yes.
Our entire dynamic. Madeline, we always like to start each episode. What trash are you consuming this week? What garbage content, besides our wonderful topic for this week? What are you consuming?
I don't know. I think I like to justify anything I consume, and so then I have to believe it isn't trash. But I am kind of job hunting right now, so I'm spending a little more time than usual on LinkedIn, and I think LinkedIn is trash. I think LinkedIn specific content is trash.
Is there a specific like LinkedIn phenomenon you're like experiencing hard right now?
Um, I I don't know, like, I mean, I feel like this is a thing on all social media. It's just like something people do to like get engagement. But anytime someone is on LinkedIn, like asking like a weird little question about business and like trying to get a response, it just like makes me so furious. And it's always just like so strange and inane and like has nothing to do with anything. I don't know. I don't know.
Is it like questions like, how do you start your day? Or like, what are, I'm trying to think, what are your kernels of wisdom?
Yeah, basically like that, but it's more about like how do you start your day as a designer at a company and how do you extract more from your employees? Something like that. I don't know.
We loved LinkedIn on the pod. We love the terrible grind culture that it perpetuates. That's a whole we should be sponsored by LinkedIn, really.
I mean, yeah, you should be.
LinkedIn and
um,
Grinder are two favorite apps on this
I do
podcast.
I do love it when you show me Grinder.
Um, yeah, my sister loves LinkedIn culture. It is actually the last app she'll delete if she's like purging social media, which I love. I love that LinkedIn is like her tried and true as like I will remain connected to the world in this way.
I guess one small thing I will say in LinkedIn's favor is that there is like people do behave on there. Like it's very artificial, but I think that's also maybe a positive thing in some ways because you have like you have set expectations. You're not just yelling and whining and I don't know.
There is
Doing
a
what we
level
do
of
on
decorum. Yeah.
yes. And I can appreciate that.
No one's posting Casey Green's dick butt constantly. Like
Maybe I should do that on LinkedIn.
become a LinkedIn disruptor.
Yes. Is Casey Green on LinkedIn? Can we connect on LinkedIn?
I would love it if Casey Green is probably if he's on LinkedIn, then like he is the disruptor.
Probably.
That's a fascinating prospect. Everyone look up Casey Green on LinkedIn. Apparently, that's and if he doesn't have one, we'll create one for him, I guess. Um, poses Casey Green. That's someone's new internet branding strategy. So.
Yeah,
I
I
have
just
been. Oh, go ahead.
you could have like I don't know if you could have like fan pages on LinkedIn, but we could make a Casey Green fan page on LinkedIn.
I don't know. You could probably
Like a
create like a
standalone.
fake company, like,
Yeah.
but you might have to like slightly alter it, like Casey Green's Electronic Fans Factory.
We'll have to make a company for our fan club, and then we'll have a page for the fan club, which is a company.
And then we'll end up forgetting about it, and then people will be congratulating us on our work anniversaries.
Yeah, or we'll like do that thing where it sends an email to all of your contacts and
Lets them know.
let them
Vannotes
know.
started working at Casey Green's Electronic Fan Company. I have been watching Hazbin Hotel. I watched the first episode on YouTube just before this episode, which I think I
Oh,
made you watch Helluva Boss, right?
no, the last time that we were hanging out in person, we could not, we just didn't, or like didn't want to watch it on a computer and couldn't hook it up to the TV. So I have
That's
never
right.
been blessed with Hell of a Boss. But tell me about Has Been Hotel.
So Hazbin Hotel is a little hard for me to talk about in comparison without like having hell of a boss knowledge already. It was like so both of them are cartoons by Vivzy Pop, um, who is like peak Tumblr like aesthetic. Like there's never been anything more Tumblr than like her aesthetic. And Hazbin Hotel was like created and then it got picked up by A24. Um, who brought us Hereditary and Midsommar. And this is their first cartoon. And someone I think described it, and I wish I could attribute this, but like it really is what a BYU student believes R-rated movies are. Like, it's really like if whatever they imagine an R-rated movie is, or like an R-rated TV show, or like a mature TV show, Hazbin Hotel really is just like fuck, damn, shit. Um, there's a ton of musical numbers in it. It's very musical heavy, and it's very lore heavy. There's a lot of lore to this cartoon, which I think is also very Tumblr to have extensive lore. I don't really love it. I think Helluva Boss is more fun if I was to choose between the two, just because there's more like the characters are more established and bounce off of each other better. But yeah, I've been in that hell. I've watched all of Hell of a Boss for whatever reason. I want to connect with the youth. And I watched the first episode of Hazbin Hotel right now. And it's not I don't get the whimsy I get from Hell of a Boss. Trash is
Interesting.
definitely about whimsy.
Do you think A24, maybe working with the studio just like drained the whimsy out, or is Hell of a Boss maybe just like a better idea? I don't know.
I think the concept of Hell of a Boss is more like it's better for like episodic television, I feel like you get the Looney Tunes like hit out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my trash wreck. Actually not even a wreck, more like a lukewarm. I watched it. So other than that, I've been trying to consume literature. Have you read any works of literature?
Actually, yes. I have been trying to read works of literature. I am like a little over halfway through reading Emile Zola's The Debacle, about the
Holy
Franco-Prussian
cow.
War. And it's interesting.
Dang, Zola is real literature. That's not like fake literature. That's not water for elephants.
I guess so. Um, I feel like this translation is like, I don't know, it's pretty like fun and punchy and like not hard to read. I read another
Hmm.
Zola, and that one was like a trial to get through. Like I liked it a lot, but it was much harder. And this one is very fun.
Hmm.
I mean, except when like horrible things are happening because there's a war.
Man, I just finished Kim Fu's Monsters of the 21st Century. Have you the cover I think you might recognize. Let me see. Do I have it just like sitting right here? Quick grab it. It's this one that's going around.
Oh, okay. I have not seen that.
Yeah, I think it might be because the author's from the Northwest that people are more like into it, I guess, or it might be a regional hit. Very
Okay.
good, like flash to like more on the short story spectrum. It's more on the flash end of short stories. And I'm going to be writing a little bit about it for Seasonal Produce, just like it in comparison to like James Baldwin's Giovanni's Room, talking about like the proximity of violence to intimacy to sex. And yeah, I feel good things about it, having finished a whole short story collection, which isn't always easy.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes I read like 3 short stories and then it's like, that's enough. I'll get to the rest later.
And then it sits. It has a nice long sit. Even like really good authors like Ursula K. Le Guin, like a short story collection can be a slog. Like, because not all of them are the best. Zadie Smith's short story collection, I was very surprised, wasn't my favorite thing, even though some of those were like some of my favorite short stories of all time. But Zadie Smith is, yeah, a lot of them were so idiosyncratic that when you like grouped them together, they were like they didn't mesh well together as a piece.
it's like interesting to think about, like with collecting work. I suppose if I had collected work, it would be comics, but it's like, I guess just because it's all you doesn't necessarily mean it makes a good book altogether.
Yeah. I'm thinking about with your work, if like Vampire Horse, your character Vampire Horse was just like placed next to your like Bird Daughters comic, just like in, just totally incongruous with each other, like fun vampire western with like fantasy short fiction deconstruction. Yeah, you never know what'll work and what won't work together. So, Madeline, I have one of my classic signature games here ready to go for you. Uh, it is a this is the game's name. It's Your Pals Trash instead of Your Trash Pals. And the game is that I have some questions for you, and I'm interested to see if we can get the answers for each other. I tried to write things that there was enough variability that we might not line up, even knowing each other as friends fairly well. But we'll see how successful we are. Are you ready to play my little game?
Yes.
My little jigsaw game. Okay. So first question, and I'll let you go first, and then I'll answer after you go. What was my first manga?
I don't know this one, so I'm gonna like guess and say like Dragon Ball.
Oh, that's why would you say Dragon Ball?
Um, it was just like around. It was in the library all the time. There were a lot of them, so it would be like easy to find one, I think.
Okay. That's You're very close. You're very approximate. My first manga was Sandland by Akira Toriyama. So his
Oh,
little one that's getting made into a video game now and a like movie. It's all of a sudden like 20 years later, like coming back real strong.
yeah,
Uh,
why not?
and I'm pretty sure your first manga was Naruto. Is that not
It's
correct?
not, was
Oh
not.
no! What was your first
Um,
manga?
my first manga, I went to the library and I checked out 2 volumes of manga, and one of them was like volume 1 of Fruits Basket, and the other one was volume 4, like not the first volume of Full Metal Alchemist. So I read them at the same time, out of order.
The Fruits Basket one I didn't know because I feel like I had a slight returning Fruits Basket phase when the anime came out, and I don't remember like any glimmer of nostalgia from you.
Oh, I there was like a recent new anime, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I think I kind of just it didn't really register. Like I knew it was happening, but I didn't think that much about it, or I wasn't in a nostalgia mood at the time.
You weren't thinking all about uh, all those classic Fruit Baskets characters that have
I was not.
names that all blur together for me right now.
Yeah, all the all the guys,
All
all
I
the
remember
girls.
was the Mabadachi trio as being the only thing my friend group cared about.
That makes sense. That's respectable.
Okay, you brought up Full Metal Alchemist, which foreshadows this next question, which I'm surprised. Who is your favorite Full Metal Alchemist, or who do you think my favorite Full Metal Alchemist character is?
Um,
I've stumped you so hard.
the muscly guy, arms.
Yes. I'm glad it was very predictable. I could see you sorting out like first thought to like thinking more expansively on it.
Yeah, that was like my definitely my first reaction, and then I decided to think a little harder, and then I went back to my first reaction.
I would say for you, my thought is probably Armstrong's sister.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
yeah, pretty much. At the moment, I think my favorite character changes from time to time, and I haven't revisited Full Metal Alchemist recently, so I don't know, but we'll say yes.
Oh man, we're doing so well at this. This is gonna be a hard one, I feel like, for both of us. Or maybe mine will be easier because I think you know mine. Which is your favorite, or which is my favorite Star Wars movie?
I fully guessing. Return of the Jedi.
Ooh, it is not Return of the Jedi, but it is. Yeah, mine is, but it is a second in the like trilogy structure of the Skywalker saga. Um, it is The Last Jedi,
Oh,
100%.
really?
Yes, the very
Interesting.
controversial take. So I love Luke Skywalker Force Ghost. It made me cry tons and tons of
Mm-hmm.
tears. Yeah, I loved like a lot of things about that movie. I should rewatch it at some point. I talked to you about how I regretted not having a box set of all the Star Wars movies.
Mm.
It
I
is
think
important to
I
have one.
was too hungry when I saw The Last Jedi, and that made me not like it.
That's right. I forgot that that was your like strong sense memory of The Last Jedi was being too damn hungry and not paying
I just like
attention.
I feel like there's multiple points where it could have ended, and I just like really wanted it to end, and it just like wouldn't do that for me.
And I would say that's a movie that drags either in my memory of it. So that's also very funny. Just begging for the end. Okay. This is purely, I think, based off of vibes, but Me for You, I think it's the Clone Wars, mostly based on aesthetics and characters that appeared.
The the Attack of the Clones, or like the show.
Oh yeah, Attack of the Clones, number 2, not the animated CGI one.
Uh, that's an interesting guess. I think I would say my favorite is Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
I am a prequels liker. They're kind of my favorite. They're what I grew up with. They're what I think of as Star Wars. They're very important to me. I recognize their flaws.
This is a podcast called Your Trash Pals. No one's going to judge you for loving the prequels. That's
Okay.
not our fan
Well, good.
base. We try to have a parasocial relationship with. So don't apologize, Madeline. I think maybe like the reason why Attack of the Clones was like so strongly in my head as your favorite was the opening scene with the cool shapeshifter assassin lady whose name
Oh,
I'm totally forgetting.
her name is Sam Wessel, and honestly, I don't care that much about her. She's fine.
Oh, now that's a controversial opinion amongst
Yeah.
probably our
I'm not a
listenership.
Sam Wessel lesbian.
That's so funny. Okay. Your favorite vampire movie? Or I guess I'm going to try this one first because I feel very strongly in thinking that your favorite vampire movie is Interview with a Vampire, but I might be wrong.
Um, that's a good guess. I do love Interview with a Vampire. I think it's one of the best movies of all time. It's definitely the best Tom Cruise role. He does a wonderful job as Lestat. My favorite vampire movie is Byzantium, which is also directed by
Oh,
Neil Jordan. And I don't know if I've ever talked about it in front of you, so I would understand why you would not know that.
what's that one about? I don't even know.
It's about a two vampires, a mom and a daughter, and they're kind of being hunted by these like this organization of like shitty vampire men. And they kind of flee to like a seaside town and stuff happens and it's cool and there's a blood waterfall.
Oh, I do need to watch this now.
I think
This
you
just
should give it a
jumped. Okay. That could be my new favorite very well after after I watch it. Okay, now do me. Now.
I'm just gonna say Twilight because I know you were like a Twilight teen, and I don't know about your vampire taste outside of Twilight and the anthology that we made.
Which Twilight movie do you think is my favorite?
I'm just going to say the first one.
Oh,
I
that is a
don't
little
remember
basic for me, Madeline. That's a little I will chastise you for that you think Twilight one would be my favorite. I do love Twilight 4 Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I still think that finale is one of my favorite moments in all of cinema. Um, the big fake vampire fight. Still one of the best things I've seen on screen. And as many
It
have
is.
said, an excellent X-Men movie.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Although the baseball scene is probably it really would be in between the baseball scene and that final fight as like my favorite Twilight moment of like all time. But the baseball scene does do it for me every time. Never never loses its luster. So the last question I have, leading into our very important conversation, who do you think is my favorite Transformer?
This is so hard. I don't know. I feel like we're about to have probably the deepest discussion we've ever had about Transformers. So I don't know if there's a specific guy for you.
Must choose. You must choose.
Um,
The wheels are turning.
I don't know why. I don't know why I'm frozen by this.
This is a very intimate question, I feel like.
And I don't have like any idea.
I'll say I'm basic.
Okay. Let's go. I don't know. This is too much pressure.
This is the greatest test of our friendship thus far. With absolutely no stakes. We've had so many more like crisis scenarios, I feel like, in our friendship.
I suppose. I don't like being wrong, but I'm just gonna say Optimus Prime, you know?
You got it!
Oh good.
You
Good.
won! You won my little game. Yes, it's 100% Optimus Prime. Like, just the most basic Optimus Prime fanboy. So you've succeeded. You've passed. For you, after all of our Beast Wars watching, I know you most in the context of Beast Wars. Um, I would say Black Arachnia, but I'm not sure.
I do like Black Arachnia. Black Arachnia might be my favorite Beast Wars character. Um I do. I like her a lot. Um she's mean and very beautiful. Um I would say that I'm also a big Optimus Prime fan, like for other Transformers.
It's hard
I like
not
them
to
all.
love Optimus.
Yeah, yeah.
He's the most like aesthetically pleasing, I feel like, consistently. His gimmick is really easy to understand, or like his transformation's really easy to understand. His trailer's cool. Yeah. If you don't love Optimus, you love Megatron. Except if you love Starscream. And there's those people out there.
There's so many of them out there. They could be anywhere.
Yeah. Um, so that really does bring us into the meat of our conversation. True Transformers the movie talk. Madeline, I'd never seen Transformers the movie before, but when I convinced you to come on to this podcast, I used it as an excuse so that I could watch Transformers the movie. What was your first encounter with this work of cinema?
Um, I became a Transformers enjoyer relatively recently. So I think I watched the movie for the first time in maybe 2017 or 2018 on like watchcartoons.com or something, so tiny and low quality. And I like had heard a lot about it. I mean, you hear about it all the time. And so I was not prepared for like what it actually is, but I just, watched it alone on my laptop, and it's an experience.
It is an experience. It is assuredly, for the listeners, we are not talking about Transformers, the movie by Michael Bay. We are talking about the 1986, I believe, cartoon that was about halfway through the original Transformers series, or Gen 1, as the nerds love to call it. Um, but yeah, and it's really a transition movie. Like, I didn't realize that going in, that this was like to promo a million new Transformers.
Yeah, and it's like very famously like a cynical way to like kill off your toys so you can sell new toys. And I think that's just what its legacy is mainly.
Yeah, it is. It's very aggressively. Re- After watching Godzilla -1 and my complaints to you that it didn't try to sell me toys enough, and that was its failure as a film. I've been thinking about all films in terms of whether they will sell me toys or not. And Transformers the movie was the most successful on the toy selling scale. Like, it was maxing out. Like, my entire impulse the whole movie was, I want to buy these toys.
Yes, it's very strong. Um, I think I did have like a pretty intense, for me, toy buying phase around the first time I saw it. So, and I've cooled down on that. I have impulse control now.
There's only so much room for toys until you buy storage units and like huge curio cabinets.
Yeah, I can't do that yet. I can't let myself do that.
Yeah. We are not to Guillermo del Toro levels where we have a whole house devoted to our weird toys.
Someday.
Someday.
Or
Someday an
maybe
extra wing.
someday Guillermo del Toro will like collect our original arts.
I would be honored. That would be like high echelon. You have more chance of it than me because you draw more monsters and spooky things. Way more likely to be hunted by Guillermo for your work. The one thing I was blown away by with the Transformers movie was how dope the intro is. Like, as I was watching like Unicron eat a planet, I genuinely thought to myself, this is better than Akira. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not like lying either. Like, I thought it was cooler than the opening of Akira.
The intro is it's it's sick. I don't know. It's really like it's very very cool. Maybe the best part of the movie. Maybe not.
Yeah, just Unicron, the giant planet-sized transformer, just munching down on.
And I
This is
think
the other thing about the Transformers franchise. I always forget that humans are the anomaly and most aliens are robots.
yeah,
Like,
there's like
especially in
a
this
bunch of
movie.
planets of other robots. And like I feel really sad about the robots from that planet that just get eaten. Like they seem cool. I would hang out with them, but I can't anymore.
They were just like mixing cocktails.
Yeah, it's so fun. They're not at war.
But,
They're chilling.
so this is like deep, like Transformers lore. Isn't Unicron's like arch enemy the Transformers planet?
That's a good question. I don't know because I feel like it's different in various continuities, and I don't necessarily like want to get on the fan wiki,
I feel.
read something for something that I've never like read.
Oh, I forgot. It is. I have been on this fan wiki before because I got really fascinated by the cosmology of the Transformers universe and that their god is their planet. and his name is Primus.
Yes.
And I forgot, like, he can also transform as well as Unicron.
That makes sense.
So he was trying to eat the devil was trying to eat God all throughout the Transformers movie. Real crazy biblical. I think the other thing this movie is really famous for is the spoilers for like 15 minutes into the movie, the death of Optimus Prime.
Yes.
Did the death of Optimus Prime resonate with you as an adult loving toys, engaging with this 1986 film for the first time?
A little bit because I'm emotional. But like going in, I'm aware that they like bring him back in the final season of the cartoon. It's become a repeated thing where like he gets killed and brought back to life in some other, like that happens in the Bay movies, and I think that happens in some other cartoons. So it's just kind of like you expect it to happen. I feel like it happens way too soon in the movie. Like if I was making it, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done it that way. But I was a little sad. But it was also just like I knew going into it, it's such a I think I called it cynical already, but cynical way of getting rid of a toy to replace it with another toy that it's a little funny.
I love that you get 3 like prime like Transformers that you could like market to children out of this film. You get like Optimus dying, then you get his replacement for like most of the movie, which I can't remember what his name is. And then you get Hot Rod, who becomes Rodimus Prime.
Rodimus Prime. And yeah, the other guy is Ultra Magnus.
Oh, yes. Yes. How could I forget a name
How
like
could you forget
Ultra
Ultra
Magnus? Another excellent name. Rodimus Prime really is, yeah, just a bunch of dudes sitting around trying to come up with the coolest name they can.
Yeah, I wonder what the process for that was like. I wonder what writing this movie was like.
The one thing I did learn, so my interest in watching the Transformers movie really started once I watched the G.I. Joe movie with our friend Chan Chow and their household. And that movie was so buck wild and like very sensory overwhelming and was very heavily like tied into the collective consciousness with the Transformers movie that I really did want to dive in. And then when I learned it was like the same creative team, and the G.I. Joe movie is just so off the rails as far as like just making up a whole ancient civilization that Cobra Commander's from that's never been brought up before, and that he's like a skeevy little lizard man in their society. Yeah, and it was also the death of Optimus Prime was apparently so controversial that they said Duke was like in a coma instead of dying, and then he came out of it. But it's very like the characters are all like acting on screen as if Duke, the like main Transformer dude, had died. It's he's yeah, it literally is just like all the characters are like, I think they like cut away and all the characters are like, he's okay. But yeah, it's so, I think I want to write more media. I think that's just surrounding the generation of like making toys for toys' sake, because it has brought us great things like Spawn, great pop cultural properties.
We're circling around to Spawn finally.
I try not to, but it is an exceptional toy property.
I believe you. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I've seen a Spawn toy, but Spawn is like so meaningless to me that it doesn't stick in my mind.
He very much is like the whole core ethos of like Spawn's development was because Todd McFarlane wasn't making enough money on toys. And he wanted all the money from toys. So then he started a toy company.
I respect that so much.
I'm so excited for us one day to become toy moguls. I really want to I want to do something worse than Funko Pops.
Worse than Funko Pops.
Which I guess was like NFTs, but I want
Like
something
squishing
physical at
ones?
least.
I don't know.
Even less definition, just like orbs.
Orbs.
Character orbs. Oh, was that like, does it just do that? Oh, that's magical.
Wow.
I didn't know that. I'm gonna do this to Ren all the time. It's making little
Yay.
hearts appear whenever I make a little heart with my hand. I did it in a circle first, so it was accidental for all of our audio listeners. That's delightful. So any more deep thoughts on the Transformers movie? Anything we really need to make sure we discuss before we dive into a little more contemporary Transformers culture?
I don't know. I guess I do really like when Megatron gets a makeover and becomes Galvatron. I think Galvatron is very beautiful, so I appreciate that a lot.
Do you have a Galvatron toy?
I have like a tiny Galvatron toy. He doesn't
Okay.
transform and he's like 2 inches tall, but I do.
Is he like the wild thing is knowing that one, this is Orson Welles' last movie ever as the voice of Unicron, like one of the greatest creative minds of the 20th century, voicing big god transformer, devil transformer. And then you have Leonard Nimoy, who I forgot was at like a creative low point, I guess, in his career, or like maybe like sadder point in his career, like around this movie. And he's Galvatron, which I don't know if he was Galvatron in the cartoon too.
I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, that is an interesting to think about.
That feels very like opportunist in an interesting way of just like being like, oh yeah, we can scoop up these older actors. And maybe it was totally like altruistic, but it is like just a very interesting, like, oh, Orson Welles is here all of a sudden.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. Again, I would like to know like what the process was and like why these people.
Did a quick search. He did change to another voice actor for the cartoon from the movie. It looks like it was Frank Welker, who is the voice of Fred from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, also the voice of Megatron and many other Transformers and everyone
Oh,
else.
and Garfield.
And Garfield.
And Garfield. Megatron can be a Garfield. That was, yeah, really interesting that there was like voice actors who came on just for this movie that didn't like recur into the series.
Yeah, I think I mean, obviously, the first time I watched it, I knew who Leonard Nimoy was. I knew who Orson Welles was. I never like researched the cast, but the voice of Hot Rod is like one of the 80s teen movie guys, and that's like kind of wild.
I mean, the spoilers. I mean, no spoilers, Madeline. We don't have to worry about spoilers. That you don't have to call him Hot Rod. He is Rodimus Prime.
He is Rodimus Prime. I don't know if I like saying Rodimus Prime. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like the way that feels in my mouth. I've struggled with this for years.
I think I like saying it more and more out loud the more I say it.
Oh no.
I love Rodimus Prime. That feels wrong to say. It feels like I'm selling out. like I'm just doing this like tacit endorsement, like just like trying to convince the kids. I love Rodimus Prime.
I can't even say it. I won't say it. I do like him. He's a fine character.
It is nice to see like that heroic arc of like stupid kid to like leader. I think that is a very interesting arc. I wish his name wasn't Rodimus Prime though.
Yes. It is a good arc.
I don't think Hotimus Prime works any better.
Hotimus Prime. You know, there's something to work with.
You know, That's the magic of Transformers, is your name can be super silly. I didn't
That
realize
is.
RC's name is like they phoneticize it, if that's even a word, for like the spelling. Like it isn't just the like letters RC. It's like
Yes.
ARCEE.
Yes.
That's terrible.
Yeah. That is
Well,
that is a choice.
I think the last thought I have on the film is that it is a sensory experience. I wish I was partaking in maybe some mind altering substance of some level, as the visuals and the story just like wash over me as I was partaking in this film. But it was a dandy time by the end of it. For listeners who are curious about Ren's thoughts, Ren will be tuning in with her thoughts next week. She didn't watch. She watched two films that the episodes she didn't even like end up coming out. So a poor, unfortunate soul. Any final thoughts on your end, Madeline, before we dive into the modern day?
No, I'm ready to talk about comics.
Okay. We barely ever want to talk about comics. We normally scoff at them. But this is so Madeline and I are both huge, well, I don't know about you. I'm using the word huge fan for myself. Of the new Transformers comics that are coming out from Daniel Warren Johnson, the cartoonist behind Duo Powerbomb, very well complemented by the work of Mike Spencer on colors. It's very rare to have a cartoonist who you actually like their chosen colorist, I feel like, on, especially in like mainstream comics. But both of them are knocking it out on the contemporary Transformers comics. So it's the first comic I've read probably in my life where I'm going to the comic book store specifically to pick up floppy issues, which, yeah, is very unusual for me.
Yeah, it's always I've been buying ebook copies because I don't feel like going all the way to the comic book store. Um, but it has been like a joy to read it every month. Like I've been having a really good time experiencing that way.
Yeah, and I think it's great just because it's like core Transformers. Like everything has kind of been like burned away. Like that feels like extraneous to the concept. And Daniel Warren Johnson's like really isolated it down to like the humanity meeting this like alien force and then having to navigate like how scary and terrifying giant robots are, which I don't think any other Transformers comic has like really dramatized to me how scary Transformers are. Even the Michael Bay movies.
Yeah, yeah. Not I mean, I think people have tried for it, but I don't think perhaps as successfully. And I do enjoy how seriously like the idea of like Transformers and like how scary they are. I like how seriously that is taken without being like unnecessarily gritty.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I don't maybe like
It's not trying to be Spawn.
it's not trying to be Spawn. I love things that don't try to be Spawn.
And Optimus is a beautiful soul in the comics. Like he continuously is like advocating for humans in a way. I feel like the Michael Bay Optimus is always so hard to love because he's always like humans are the best or whatever, and everyone's like, why does Optimus, what is he just goes on like monologues, whereas like this Optimus is very much like responding to the events of the story, and we understand more and more how he like appreciates the fragility of life.
Yeah, does a very, very good job of showing that. I haven't watched any of the Bay movies in a while, but yeah, just like in contrast to how there are like Optimus Prime monologues, but there's not necessarily a lot of like good conversations. in it. So yeah, compared to that, very, very good.
Yeah, they're characters, not just archetypes, which I think a lot of like Hollywood adaptations like are just like, oh, if we show this archetype doing their archetype thing, then we don't have to interact with them as characters. We just have to have Batman jumping around saying scary things.
Yes.
Which is important. That is an important part of Batman. We also both commented on the like sheer villainy of Starscream in this comic just being awful.
I'm having a lot of fun with Starscream. Starscream is like personally controversial to me. I don't always enjoy him, but he's just a nasty little freak here, and I love it.
when he blew up the hospital because he was like, there's a bunch of fleshy little things in here that like Optimus cares about. Like, just terrible.
Just awful.
And yeah, it's so, I mean, no one has any strong like personal connection, I feel like, to the Michael Bay movies besides maybe like who knows. There's definitely someone out there who loves them, but like again, it's a very like they commit so much like endless destruction and violence in the Transformers movies, but none of it's character based. So like you're just like, oh, they're just like tearing down another building. But like in that moment, like Starscream has this very like visceral character moment of just like being like, I can kill a bunch of humans that are already suffering. Like, this is awesome. And then he does it.
Yeah, you get the interiority of the various characters, and that's good.
That's good. I think it's also one of the pieces of Transformers media that I've seen relish the most, the like mid-transformation sequences of a Transformer, which are always the most interesting as a kid. Like I felt like whenever I played with them, I always enjoyed them being halfway in between like their humanoid form and their like robot or dinosaur form.
Yeah, I am glad to see like the mid transformation panels. They're like always really weird and just like drive home that the Transformers are just like something different when they're just like,
I think I wish I should have kept a copy out next to me as I was going here, but there's like a panel where I think it's one of the flying characters, so probably Starscream. There's a lot of panels of like the Transformers heads just like rolling back at like such, or like rolling forward at like such unnatural angles, and that's delightful. More robot body horror. So yeah, Transformers, the contemporary comic coming out right now from Daniel Warren Johnson, and then Jorge Corona is going to be the Daniel Warren Johnson's going to keep writing, but Jorge Corona is going to be the artist on the next arc. It'll be different, but I'm still intrigued. Good comics, not trash. Definitely a treasure.
Definitely a treasure. I am excited to see Jorge Corona's work when his issues come out.
Yeah. We've both met Jorge very briefly, I think, at BCAF's past here, at Boise Comic Art Festival's past, so should be cool. So, Madeline, do you have anything you want to promote as we are closing out this podcast?
Yeah, buy The Accursed Vampire and its sequel, The Accursed Vampire, The Curse at Witch Camp. And buy any other comics by me that I may make in the future.
Yes, definitely buy the Until Local Hero came out. There was a dearth of Hodag. I would say Madeline is the Kickstarter of a Hodag renaissance in comics, because you came out with a Hodag ad in the Witch Camp graphic novel, and then Local Hero, an Image comic, had a character named the Hodag. I think Hodags are just taking the comics by storm.
Yeah, I think hood eggs have a place in comics. I do feel like kind of a poser using the hood egg because the hood egg is from northern Wisconsin and I am from the south end of Wisconsin. But Wisconsin's all the same to everybody else. So
I don't think anyone's too worried about your Wisconsin appropriation. Your inner Wisconsin beefs and politics.
only I care about that. Did you know that Orson Welles is from Wisconsin? He was like born there and
No,
grew up there. Yeah,
but didn't he like he left at like 14 though, right? To like go out
I'm
and
sure.
seek his fortune.
Yeah,
I think he went to Ireland.
that makes sense.
Yeah. You start in Wisconsin and one day you become Unicron, Transformers Satan. That's how all great heroes' journeys start. And as for your trash pals, definitely go out, buy Madeline's books. They're all excellent, incredible. Support Madeline's graphic novels, buy her zines whenever you see her hawking zines out there in the world. They're always excellent. Follow Madeline on Instagram and you'll get to see delightful imps all the time. And thank you for listening to Your Trash Pals. You can follow the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Our live Twitch and YouTube streams are hosted on Mondays, and episodes go up on Thursdays. You can follow Ren and I both on Instagram, and you can write into the podcast either by DMing us on Instagram or any of our other platforms, or by emailing yourtrashpals@gmail.com and ask us about whether we think something is trash or treasure. And we will answer it here on the podcast because we haven't gotten too many of those questions yet. So make sure you write in and we will shout you out. And finally, as always, Your Trash Pals is brought to you by many real advertisements, many real things that have sponsored us and want to make sure that you continue to get this excellent Your Trash Pals content. And this episode was brought to you by GoBots. Do you like Transformers but wish they were blockier? Then Tonka has your new favorite childhood product. You'll want to collect such classic characters as Psykill, Fightor, Copter, Loco, Buggyman, Dumper, Pumper, Hands, Cuff, Dive, Blockhead, Crane Brain, and Tank. So remember, if you want a toy that's more than meets the eye, don't buy Transformers. Purchase one of these fine robots with incredibly homoerotic names. And remember to reduce, reuse, recycle. Yay!